Hey everybody, back with another question from a patron. Today's question is from Rumbumbum. Which mission type in the game is hardest for you to complete, and why? So for this, I thought it'd be fun to do a little sort of tier list, a little ranking of all the missions from easiest to hardest, and kind of talk about why they are that way. So first off is the Rampage mission. In Rampage missions, you go to a place, you blow stuff up, and your objective is to get the alert level up to a certain sort of target level, basically to cause a given level of panic in your enemies. Now, don't get me wrong, the situation can get extremely hairy and extremely hostile, but the mission will never actually fail because you can respawn as much as you want, and there wasn't really a clear reason to have a fail condition in the mission. So obviously that will change in time, but for now, Rampage missions, easiest, for sure. Second easiest is probably the steal missions. In these missions, you have to go to a location and find a vehicle, right now just a hover bike actually, a Donza, to steal and then fly it back to your home. Now, most of the time, especially if you're in a more open sort of target location like the floating gardens or, the tool shed, which is basically intended to be a tutorial zone, you aren't going to have that much trouble finding the bike, and you'll be able to get it home. It can get a lot hairier if you're on the cargo barge, because that's a much more complicated location, and it's a lot harder to find the bike. And of course, if the bike is destroyed, you do fail the mission. So you do have a bit more liability on that one. Download missions are probably next. They're sort of in the middle. In these missions, you have to sneak into an area, hack into a bunch of consoles, and have them download a bunch of shipping data for you. These missions do have a special failure condition of if the threat level gets to 100 or higher, you immediately fail the mission because sort of the powers that be realize that this data is compromised and they just change up the routes, so the data is worthless. And of course, if all of the consoles are destroyed, you don't have anywhere to download the data from, so you also fail the mission in that case. However, in practice, the game doesn't push back once you've actually got a few terminals like hacked and downloading for you, so it doesn't end up being that difficult once you've figured out the hacking stuff. So it's sort of middle of the road. Interdiction missions. These are where things start to get a bit more challenging. If there's no escorts, if it's a zero difficulty mission, and especially if it's the skife, the ground hovercraft, as opposed to the lodka, the sort of flying garbage truck, these can be pretty easy. The challenge in these missions definitely comes with the escorts. There are now Mozu escorts that will fly alongside these couriers as they're moving, and as soon as they pick you up on their radars, they're going to open fire. Yeah, there is one more subtle thing in the interdiction missions that I wanted to highlight that's on your side. The packages that they are carrying actually have weight, and they do slow down the ships. It was very frustrating in earlier versions to, be flying after a target courier and to see the distance towards your target get higher. And of course, it just doesn't really make sense that a heavily laden ship would move just as quickly as an empty one. So now, when ships are hauling cargo like that, it will slow them down, and it will make them easier to intercept, and it'll also just make them harder to fly once players have reasons to start hauling cargo, which is very much a later update. Deletion missions. These are the most difficult missions. They start off the same as download missions. You need to sneak into an area, hack into a bunch of computers, but everything shifts when a deletion occurs. That terminal gets marked as a threat to the defenders, and they will start attacking it, and the whole threat level of the target goes up by 100. Once you get a couple downloads in, things start to get very hectic, and it starts to get very difficult to defend those terminals. This is actually a little bit of a subtle co-op mechanic, because the idea is that you would have one person inside of the building repairing terminals, hacking terminals, doing that kind of thing. And then you could also have people camped out on the roof or flying around in whatever kind of vehicle, playing escort and trying to intercept defenders before they can get to the terminals. So that's the sort of, implicit co-op that I really like to play with. and that will probably find its way into a few other mission types as things go on. I'm not sure when new mission types will be coming in that take more advantage of these kinds of concepts, but they're definitely in the pipeline, and it's definitely going to be some really cool stuff. That's my ranking anyway, but I always like to hear what other people think, so let me know yours in the comments, on the Discord, or at my 8 a.m. breakfast, because apparently, despite a lifetime of being a night owl, that's when I wake up now. Thanks again to Rumbumbum for asking the questions, to both my patrons for supporting the project and me, and to all the playtesters who have offered their time and experiences to help the game grow. Take care, have fun, and if you choose to subscribe, I'll see you next time.